Hey there, this is Andrew, and in this video I'm going to go over the Unchained deck that I opened for Unchained Battles at the recent Vault Tour in Seattle, Washington. Um, and it's worth noting, I participated in Unchained Battles because I lost in Archon. I went like 1-2, did very poorly, well, compared to what I hope for. But that's okay because then I went and played Unchained Battles and had a lot of fun. I ended up going 3-0 with this deck in Unchained Battles. Um, but I'll show you what's in it, and I think it's pretty cool. If there were an Unchained tournament tomorrow with any sort of stakes, I'd be this is in the top two decks that I would consider from Unchained decks that I've opened so far. So yeah, I'll start with the least awesome house, I think, and that is Sanctum. I got some good stuff though. So Sequus is never horrible, and actually I got two Sequuses. Sequus, old card, right? This is back from Coda. But Sequus is fine for, being able to capture and being a 4 power 2 armor body. Like, that's not bad. So, um, never too sad to see a Sequus. Then, this is kind of interesting. We have two copies of Scrivener Fabian, which threw 4 capture pips throughout the deck, which count as a steal if a Fabian is out. Of course, having 2 Fabians doesn't do any more good for you than having 1. You just convert the capture to steal once, and that's it. But having 2 is a little more consistency, and they're fine. So yeah, it's fine. Then the other creature in here is um, wait, is that mine? Yeah. The other creature in here is Shadow's Ambassador, and it's got a capture pip on it. Shadow's Ambassador is fun, 1 power, elusive, and after fight, after reap, you may play or use a Shadows card this turn. That tells you we're going to have Shadows in the deck for sure. So, and this was nice. I think the one time this stayed alive and I got to use it, I ended up playing a Shadows card from hand as a result. Celestial Gorm gives us some artifact control. It gives us an amber and it says Omni destroy it and return each other artifact to its owner's hand, which means, for example, we could play Potion of Invulnerability, put it back to our hand with Gorm, play it again, so it can be an amber generator, and also it gets opponents' artifacts off the board, which can be quite good. We also have an Eye of Judgment, which is an artifact with an amber and can action to purge a creature from a discard pile, which it turned out to be good in a lot of games. Then we have Ostentatious Mount. This is an upgrade with an amber that gives a creature taunt, and when you play it, you get to move it around the battle line. And then we got 3 actions here. Market Crash is a Maverick over, I think, from Equidon. When you play it, you destroy each non-token creature and then gain 2 chains. Smite says play ready and fight with a friendly creature and deal 2 damage to the attacked creature's neighbors. That ends up being good with a lot of things, certainly with the sequences, for example. And then we have Taxing Journey, which is an action with an amber that makes a creature capture 1, and each of its neighbors that's of the same house as it captures 1 as well. So we've got some amber control in here, some decent creatures, and like 5 amber pips and potentially some steel. So it's pretty decent. All right, the shadows is where I think a lot of the fun is here, though. So let me start with the creatures. We've got Hobnobber. Hobnobber is pretty fun. 3 power action if your opponent has 6 or more steel 2. We've got a Dino Thief. 4 power mutant thief with elusive, and when you play it, you can exalt it to deal 3 damage to a creature. And then we've got Old Bruno, who's a 3 power elusive with play capture 3. And then a Maverick, Zizix the Mini, which I don't think I ever got value out of, but it is cool if you can. It's a 3 power Martian soldier, so Mavericked over from Mars here. And after it fights a reaps, you can reveal a creature from your hand, and if you do, you archive it. and gives Zizix 3+1 power counters. So that can be interesting. It's a little slow though. However, we also got, let's see, Artifact next. Hideaway Hole is fine. Artifact with an Amber, Omni, destroy it, and your creatures get elusive till the start of your next turn. However, look at this. Lateral Shift. This is such a good card. So good. I was able to lateral shift an opponent's Befuddle in 2 different games. That is insanely good because you look at their hand and then befuddle them, all in one card play. That's crazy. And then they don't have the Befuddle. It's really mean. And it can be, yeah, good in just so many different contexts. Playing the best card in your opponent's hand is a really solid move. We've got some other cool actions in here as well. Miasma makes your opponent skip their Forge a Key step. That's great. Blatant Thievery is interesting. It enrages an enemy creature and moves all the amber from it to your pool. That's pretty cool. I had an opponent had captured a lot of amber on an Eye on the Fringes, and I like Blatant Thievery'd it to move all the amber. After I mold it, mold is an upgrade that says you can the opponent of the creature it's attached to can spend amber on it as if it were in their pool, and then I killed it. So there were like 3 ways I was getting that amber. Other actions here, we have Ghostly Hand, gain 2 amber. This got a capture pip on it, which is pretty cool. That can be a steal if you have Favian out, otherwise it's a capture, which is fine. And then if your opponent has exactly 1, you steal it. So yeah, there's a lot of amber swing in 1 card. Trust No One steals 1. Once in a while it'll steal more than 1. And then lastly, we got a Ghost Form. So that's 2 anomalies in 1 house here, which that can happen even in a non-Unchained deck. But obviously it's more likely to happen in an Unchained deck, and it's pretty cool. And the Ghost Form is really nice. I mean, these are 2 of the better anomalies in my opinion. So it's kind of fun to have them. Ghost Form is an upgrade that gives a creature invulnerable, which means it can't be destroyed or dealt damage, but after it fights or reaps, you archive the Ghost Form. That also makes it a good amber generator. And what you'll notice so far too, we have a lot of amber generation. 5, 6, 7. Lateral Shift is probably another one usually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Sanctum. So quite a lot of amber already. And now we go to the Logos, and this is what makes this deck. Well, the 2 anomalies I think actually make this deck pretty special, but this Logos maybe even more so. So we start off with the Library Access. That's a really good card. Let's see what we get with it. First off, Time Traveler, with of course help from Future Self, and that's great because this really, if you can do this with the Library Access, it's going to really kickstart you, right? You draw 3, or if you play this and then this, you're drawing 4 total between playing these 3 cards, and then you're kind of off to the races with your other cards. Skippy Time Hog, I think, is a pretty interesting control. It says your opponent can't use cards on their next turn. 2 memory chips. Obviously, these are fuel for the Library Access if you draw them and play them, but if you get them early, then they can actually help set up the Library Access. You maybe archive the Library Access, archive some other cards, whatever. Either way, you're kind of thinning out your deck by archiving stuff. Maverick Humble is fine. Transposition Sandals is fine. But here's then the real magic that can make the Library Access go infinite and you rule of 6. Lethalogica is going to ensure that you get another Logos card. So the trick is, with the Library Access active, you Lethalogica, do the discard effect until you get a Logos card, put it in your hand from the Lethalogica effect, and then draw 1 with the Library Access. So at that point, your likelihood of getting into another Logos card is pretty good. Wild Wormhole is great because you play a card off the top of your deck. You're going to then draw a card for playing that card, and then draw a card for playing the Wild Wormhole. And you do have some control over the order. You can decide, for example, to draw from playing the Wild Wormhole before you play the top card of your deck. So if you have 2 cards left on top of your deck, you might choose draw, play. It actually won't matter too much, but you could choose the order if you somehow knew. But that helps the library access because essentially you're burning through. You play this 1 card and you burn through 3 cards because you play the one off the top of your deck and then you draw 2. Tautau Vapors is really interesting because you effectively draw 3 and then archive 1, which again just helps you get cycling. And then lastly, Forgive or Forget is really crazy because as you're looping through with the Logos, you play the Forgive and Forget. First of all, capture pip on it, so that's potentially a steal, but at least you probably have, if you're going infinite, you have some creature out. I just realized, do we only have 2 creatures? Skippy Time Hog and Time Trout. Yeah, only 2 creatures. So, but yeah, you get one of those out, you can capture onto it, and then you choose one. You either archive 2 cards of different types from your discard pile, or purge up to 2 cards from each discard pile. But if you do the archive 2 cards of different types, you do them from a different house. Well, that means that when you do flip your deck, it's thinner now, and as you're going through, you can actually archive up to 12 cards in a turn with this. Now you have a really fat archives. You've played all 3 of these pips 6 times, generated 18 amber. Another 6 here. The only thing is there's no way to kill the Time Traveler during Logos, but I think that's pretty okay. Even with Wild Wormhole, I think there's not really a way. Oh, maybe you could smite it if you got really lucky, but I think that would be the only way you could smite it into an opponent's creature. But yeah, I didn't. I knew it was good. I was having good library access turns, but on the 3rd game that I played, I managed to actually go infinite and rule of 6, and so at that point, every card in the deck was either on the board, in my hand, or in my archives, which was pretty cool. All right, now obviously this isn't legal for tournament play, and even if it were, it has some holes. I mean, that's a crazy turn, but then if your opponent has like a TMTP or IG or something like that, you're pretty much hosed. So it's certainly not a perfect deck, but very fun and interesting to play. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad Unchained is a thing. I was saying to a friend, to my brother-in-law, how I've been getting some newer people into the game, and it's funny because they don't get as excited about the Unchained and like Vault Master as I do, which makes sense because to them it's just kind of all the same, right? There's like 7, there's like 8 sets, right? Well, Unchained and Vault Master are kind of special, but a new player wouldn't necessarily be able to distinguish that from AOA versus Coda. So totally normal, but for totally reasonable. But for those of us who have kind of been through the game from the beginning, Unchained is just so stinking cool, and really so is Vault Masters. And I'll make another video for the Vault Master deck that I've opened so far. I've only opened 1 of my 4 that I acquired, but it's cool, but not great. But I'll show it to you anyway. It is cool. It was fun to play. So yeah. Anyway, that was the Unchained deck I opened for Unchained Battles. Cold Dirk of the Market. Had a lot of fun in there, and definitely recommend if you have some downtime. Go to a Vault Tour. If you lose, like I did in the Archon, then hey, this is a great way to spend some time. And it actually counted for second Amber as well. So I think a lot of people were doing Unchained for their second Amber and having fun. So anyway, like I said, that was Cold Dirk of the Market. Hope you enjoyed, and you'll get out there and forge some keys.